find Jet Set Radio Future a very hard game to describe because to me it's more than a game. It's like a life experience. It invoked the same feeling in me as if I were going to some event or gig, chilling with friends, listening to a mixtape, going to a theme park and going on all the rides. This is not something any other game does. Normally, a game is a form of escapism. To visit another world or universe, you get the sense of fun and accomplishment, getting the high score you wanted, beating a boss, or overcoming various challenges a game will throw at you. Thing is, Jet Set Radio Future has all of that too, but more. Being an arty person, Jet Set Radio also sparks the creative side in me. After I'm done playing, I feel like drawing or something. You can see this in other fans like Mello and his music, and the Jet Set Radio Live website. These are all great things I will leave links to, but for me it's not simply wanting to draw fan art. Jet Set Radio just makes me want to be creative. I could draw anything, it doesn't have to be related to the game. I feel Jet Set Radio is a great game to help with depression too. There are going to be moments in your life when you feel low, and Jet Set Radio Future's colourful, bright outlook and gameplay can go a long way to help putting you back in a better state of mind. A key part to this is the level of free access you have to the game. It's not a game where you have to go through the story when you put it on. It might be like how I do with both games. I just put it on and then go hit up one or more area in the game and do some skating and graffiti for a while, then that's it. Of course, this is usually after you've beaten it, but the fact remains it's an option available to you at any point. I've been praising the game so far without explaining what it actually is. Since it's that old, there's a whole new generation of gamers out there that have never heard of it. Well, Jet Set Radio Future is a free-running skating third-person action game. It is set in a fictional future version of Tokyo, which has a whole bunch of street gangs that like to cause trouble. You play in the gang known as the GGs, who battle rival gangs across the many districts. All gangs have two things in common. They all wear these highly powerful inline skates that allows them to do some crazy tricks and reach great heights, and the other is that they are all armed with a spray can of paint, which is your main weapon in the game. You could say the game is an early open world game as you can freely travel to each district whenever you please. While you'll have to battle other gangs throughout the game, there is a bigger overall evil in the form of the Rakuku group, who serve as the main big evil corporation that want to end the freedom of expression in Tokyo, but the GGs aren't going to stand for that. On top of that, you will have to face the police as well, so you will have your hands full as you take the graffiti battle to the streets. Your main aim when you hit a district is to cover the rival gang graffiti with your own and take over their turf. You do this by collecting spray cans and then just going around to highlighted walls and start spraying them. Some tags are in some tricky places, and the further you get into the game, the harder they will be to reach. To help get into them, you can grind on rails and posts etc. and tag them at the same time. Sometimes you'll have to face the rival gang in some way, maybe race them in a capture the flag style battle, or maybe you'll have to battle a boss with either the police or the Raku group. This helps keep things varied and interesting. Now, most people prefer Future over the original Jet Set Radio, and Future is definitely more fluid in its flow and stage design. If you play Future first, you're going to find it hard to transition to the original game, whereas if like me you played the original first, and I played it a lot, believe me, then you're going to find Future a total cakewalk. I like both games just as much as the other. I think they both do some things better than the other, but they're both great. I'm saying this because it's easier to access the first game since it had a modern release on the 360, PS3 and PC, making it easy to get hold of. Future on the other hand has had no such treatment. For whatever reason, neither Microsoft or SEGA are interested in bringing this cult classic back. The only way to play it is on the 360 or OG Xbox, which is what I'm using since it had some known problems running on the 360. Since Future is an OG Xbox game, it's been a while since I last checked, but I think the game was running pretty well on the CBX Reload emulator, but of course you need a pretty decent rig to get that running. So I still say that the OG Xbox is the best way to play, and you can pick those up for cheap these days. It's more than worth it, trust me. Jet Set Radio's Future serves as a great time capsule of what gaming was like in the early 00s or noughties. Since this game came out in 2002, it's not to say we don't get great games anymore, but gaming at top level has become more of how can we trick players out of their money with microtransactions etc. rather than making games that are actually fun. It is perhaps even funnier that Jet Set Radio was a game based around fighting an evil corporation that wanted to end freedom of speech and expression. Yet here we are, and most of gaming has become just that. You don't have to be into skating to enjoy this. That didn't stop me enjoying it at all. It's like when I used to play Tony Hawk on the PS1 all the time. Jet Set Radio features a game that has aged gracefully. Its cel-shaded style and fluid frames make it feel better than some games released today. Then there's the soundtrack. I mean, this is a huge chunk of the game here. The soundtrack matters in a big way. It's a mix of hip hop, R&B, EDM and rock, just street music. You will absolutely fall in love with the beats on offer here. For most fans, they are probably engraved into their heads. Don't be surprised to find yourself rhyming lyrics from the game as you do the washing up. That's the effect the soundtrack will have on you. I know people have all kinds of things on their bucket list, but I would hate for someone not to have experienced this game at least once. Of course, it's possible it might not be your thing, but I haven't come across one person that played this that didn't have some positive experience. It's what games should be, simply fun. As always, thanks for watching and catch you next time.